Don't be rude to service workers. I work as a cable guy, and at least once a month I get an instance of petty revenge. The one I remember the most though was an older lady who was an absolute psycho. When we would arrive she would demand that we were clean from head to toe. Cable guys aren't always spotless. We are always considerate and put on our boot covers at every house, but this lady was on another level. She would have us put on her own boot covers that were too small for out boots, and then let us inside. Cue me walking inside her home to troubleshoot a problem that she has been having for a few months. I am looking at the issue and go to check the cable connections when she loses her mind that I have damaged her walls by touching them. No problem, I thought, she is just a little nuts, nothing new in my line of work. I let her know I am going to check the outside cabling to verify signal integrity, and as soon as I disconnect her to check the levels, she comes out screaming that I have cut her cable and to connect it back at once. I explained to her that I told her it would only be a few minutes to check earlier, but she wasn't having it. A few back and forths later, she tells me I need to learn how to do my effing job and to get someone who is confident in their abilities. When I tell her that I am and have worked with the industry for a few years, she yells back that she is not confident with my abilities, and stomps back inside. I am usually very nice and forgiving, because people get a little stir-crazy when their services are out for a few days. This was not one of those times. I opted to just get in my truck and leave with the cable disconnected. I closed the order out with a note that the customer was aggressive and not allowing me to do my job. We are the only provider in that area. I talked with some of my co-workers about the incident, and they all knew her by name. When one of my co-workers that I talked to regularly got the job to fix the cabling, he opted to not go at all based on the notes that I and other techs left. I learned that this same situation happened for about 6 months. When I drove back past that house, I noticed that nobody had been there since I had. It has been about 8 months now, and that disconnected cable reminds me every time I drive by it that some people just invite petty revenge right through their front doors. I don't care how nice you keep your waist-long hair, I don't want it on my desk. When I was in high school there was this girl who anyways flipped her super long ass hair on my desk. The first time I kinda subtly brushed it off thinking it was an accident and not wanting to embarrass her. Instead she shouted at me for touching her hair, which just effing infuriated me. Lucky me though, I had ceramics right before that class and regularly would bring what I was working on to other classes to continue working on. My plotting began. So one day I brought in a piece of pottery I'd been painting, a total throwaway piece that I'd coated it in red paint, which isn't even how you're supposed to do it, and when she threw her effing hair on my desk it got covered in red effing paint and I gasped super loud and over dramatically. She tried to get mad at me, but before she could tell the teacher how I'd ruined her hair I shouted that she'd ruined my pottery for ceramics because she regularly threw her effing ponytail around. Instead of me being in trouble she got in trouble and moved seats, and I felt so effing good about it. Do not bully my Volkskamrad. You ever have that feeling of solidarity with someone who drives the same car as you? Well, I do. And I don't like seeing people being rude to them, so one morning the stars aligned to let me and another Volkswagen driver F over a rather rude gentleman, who was not in a Volkswagen. To start with, I'm driving in the early morning in a 2-lane road. The speed limit is 50 km per hour, but due to the lack of traffic, everyone is doing around 60 km per hour, except for one Volkswagen Golf who's comfortably doing about 55. Hey man, rock on, respect them laws. And so enters Asshole. Asshole is just ripping down the road, getting right up behind Golf, unable to switch into our lane due to me and another car. So, being the genius he was, instead of waiting for us to pass him at 60, switching into our lane, and then passing the 55 Golf, then roaring past us, he decided to lay into the horn. And it was loud. Okay asshole, bully a Ford, I don't care. Bully a BMW and I'll cheer. But a Volkswagen? No pal. Not today. So, taking my time, I pull up next to the Golf, with asshole still laying into the horn. And thus our petty revenge began. I waved to the Golf driver and we both began to slow, until we were about 45 km per hour, close enough to each other that asshole couldn't pass. Dude goes ballistic. Tearing between both lanes, horn blaring, right up on our cars close enough to actually begin to worry me, the whole 9 yards. This guy is just losing his ish. And so we peacefully drove down the road for a good 10 minutes before I hit my turnoff, and waved goodbye to my new Volkskamrad, and pulled off. I almost felt bad for asshole. The veritable scream from that engine when he got a clear passing lane sounded like he stomped that gas pedal harder than the aliens in Dead Space. Go gently into that quiet night, asshole. But leave me and my fellow German engineering appreciating folks alone. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to give a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Have a good one.